if we talk a broader wide of camera companies, I think most camera companies do around a 100 mil, and that's a good focal length to get started with. It gives you good depth of field with an out of focus background with good working distance as well. So the Canon does one, Nikon does one, Sigma that does one. The Sigma is a very budget friendly lens as well if you want to get into it. Sony has the 90 mil, which is this one just here. Okay, that's a fantastic lens for your Sony cameras if you want to have a go at Sony. But again, if you're wanting to have a go, I wouldn't buy a macro lens because they're expensive, and without the experience, you might get a bit frustrated with it. So again, it would come back to, again, we're talking if you just want to have a go at macro, I'd come back to just buying a clip-on lens. They're only like £50 to £100. So that's not going to break the bank for anybody. I don't know the price on the Sony. I think it's 900. I think the Sony is. But if you find yourself liking macro, I can guarantee you'll end up having an Olympus setup. Because that's the same price. And what made me buy that, because I was on Canon and I was looking at the Canon lens, and it's £1,400 for the Canon lens. And I had the old EF 100mm lens, fantastic lens. But I sold that along with the MPE 65mm lens and bought this entire setup, which, when it comes to full frame equivalency, is basically the same setup, but it costs a lot less. It's a lot smaller as well, and it's very light wildlife.
Yeah,
it's the same as macro.
Exactly.
You do need the gear. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I not too long ago, I found myself on a speedboat in a fjord in northern Arctic Norway shooting sea eagles, and I very quickly realized that the 70-200 wasn't really doing very much, and so I spent most of the time shooting with a 400. Which was perfect for the job. But also, I realized that I should have gone to the gym, I think, before that, because it was impossible to hold up. It's just not happening.
I mean, I've got the Sony A1. A good friend of mine has loaned me this. He said, give it. He's actually switched to OM Systems, so he's selling the Sony. So if anyone wants a Sony, let me know. But he said, give the Sony a go for some macro, okay? And then he goes and, Jesus, he goes and gives me this thing, okay? Go and photograph some dragonflies with it, which I'm going to do. God, it's heavy. I mean, that's the 200 to 600 Sony lens. God, you need to go to the gym to use that gear. I mean, all respect for wildlife photographers out there. This gear is heavy, But
it's heavy.
Again, you buy the gear that you need to get the shots that you have, I mean, I like my little setup. That's all I need, okay? I mean, it's, you buy the gear you need to get the shot. It's as simple as that. And I'm an advocate for only upgrading when you absolutely need to. So you won't find me buying the latest gear when it comes out, because I've got no need for it. Now, if something comes out that fixes an issue I have, then I'll buy it then, But keep it budget friendly as much as possible.
Yeah, and keep it simple. That's the thing. It's the same in portrait photography. There's many things that I could buy and I don't, because I actually don't need them. It's
exactly.
If there ever is a need for it, then if there's a need to upgrade for whatever reason, then potentially make a buying decision. Although more often than not, I just hire things. If I have a job where I know that image is going to be put on the side of a bus, that's reason enough for me to go and hire a higher resolution camera for that particular job.
Sounds like we've got the same mentality when it comes to gear. You only upgrade if there's a need for it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and also, there are lots of tools. We mentioned Platypod earlier. Platypod tools, I love those tools because they're so versatile. Everything around me is basically held up in some way, shape, or form by some tool that's made by Platypod.
Yeah, I've got Platypod gear all on here. And what can I say, without sounding like a fanboy when it comes to Platypod, Platypod are great to work with, because I told them straight that if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you. I tell the truth. And so far, I like the platypod stuff, but I haven't broken any of it, which is a big, massive difference because obviously I come from the budget world. Yeah, I shop on Amazon, certain company that will remain nameless because we don't get sued, but they produce budget gear, and I'm always breaking it, But the platypod stuff, I actually gave away a platypod to a friend of mine because it was the very first gen platypod, the big thick metal plate one.
Yeah.
Because it was still working. I hadn't broken it, and Platypod had sent me their new stuff. Because obviously, being a pro, they want me to use their newer stuff. So I gave my old stuff away to a friend of mine because he had need for it. I haven't used my old stuff, man. It's not going to get used, and it hasn't worn out. It's great.
Yeah, what I like about Platypod is they're very innovative. There's always new things that they're either working on or that are coming out. Now, sometimes I think I'm not too sure what I'm going to use that for. Let's say. The handle was a really good example. When the handle first came out, I thought like, oh, okay, well, it's a neat idea. I'm not very sure what use I'm going to have for it, other than the fact that it looks like a lightsaber handle. So, I'm on board with that. But, there you go. But that being said...
Lightsaber.
Yes.
This thing, I absolutely love this thing. I'll be honest with you. I really do like it. If you want a simple setup for macro, okay? You take your head off the tripod, you pop this on there, okay? So you got that there. You put your ball head or whatever head you got on the tripod onto there, okay? You then get one of these, which is an elbow, okay? And we can screw that directly into the handle, which is, it's great. It's got 8 of these. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. You got 8 of these accessory holes. So now that's on my tripod. I have my ball head on there. So now I have somewhere to put my subject, which is just here on a leaf, and I can have a background with just this setup, Yeah. And I've always got 2 of these in my bag. I've got 4 elbows. I've got 4 super clamps because you never know what situation you might run across when you're out in the wild. Yeah. You go out. I might go out and go, I'm going to go photograph a damselfly or something like that, and you might run across something else that you've never photographed before. And I have had it where I'm like, I've left the platypod gear at house. I didn't think I'd need it, and I'm like, damn, because by the time you go home and come back, that subject's gone. It's gone.
Yeah. It's also, it weighs nothing. You can, it's so easy to take around with you. Like I said, I mean, just like I use clams and elbows for all sorts of different stuff to hold up backgrounds. In toy photography, I've just done a little series on toy photography for the Platypod YouTube channel. And it's so useful, just to hold up.
It is.
It is. Anything.
It is. It's a bit expensive. I do get people commenting that it's a bit expensive, but look, you buy that, you're buying it once. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if I haven't managed to break it, then you're not going to break it. So it's like a one-time purchase. So I've now, I should say, Platypod have now kitted me out with everything I need to do my macro photography. So yeah, I just take it everywhere with me, no matter what situation I'm in. The gear's there that I need. If I can photograph, let's say, a damselfly where it is, I can do that. If I can't, I've got the gear to move it over to my, what I call the macro studio. It's a mobile macro studio, and photograph it on there, So, yeah, it's great stuff. It really is.
I remember you mentioned something about backgrounds, and I saw some of your videos where you talk about and you demonstrate how you use background cards, even out in the field. And I thought that was immediately super interesting for me because for some reason, I've seen macro shots in, photo competitions, for example, and I've always sort of assumed that the backgrounds are, well, they're just what they are. Not so, as I've learned by watching your videos.
Yeah, it depends on the photographer. I'm more of an artist than a photographer. Whereas if you get a purist, he'll have the natural background. But even then, they'll try and find the natural material that's there in the environment to get into the background. What I don't like, which you typically see in macro photography, is a black background. And that's caused because the light from your flash isn't reaching the background. So it's called the inverse square law of light. It fades off and it's not powerful enough to light up the background. So that's where we would either put in a background card, so it's just like a textured card. It just gives a nice bright background.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.